Okay, let's be real for a second. Have you ever had that feeling? You make these huge, ambitious resolutions. You tell yourself, this year is going to be different. And then, a few weeks later, you're right back where you started. So how do you actually get off that hamster wheel and make real, lasting changes?
Well, the answer might just be in James Clear's incredible book, Atomic Habits. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the core ideas to show you how making tiny, almost invisible changes can lead to some seriously remarkable results. I love this analogy. Think about it. An airplane takes off from New York, heading for LA. If the pilot adjusts the heading by just 3 degrees, that's a tiny, barely noticeable change, it doesn't land a little bit off course. It lands in a completely different country. That's exactly how your habits work. A small shift today can lead you to a wildly different destination down the road.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the mind-blowing math of the 1% compounding effect. Then, we'll talk about a big mindset shift, focusing on systems and identity, not just goals. After that, we get practical, how to actually trigger and then sustain a new habit. And finally, we'll cover the one rule you need for when you inevitably slip up.
All right, let's kick things off with the foundation of this entire philosophy, the awesome power of tiny compounding gains. We tend to think we need some massive, heroic effort to get big results, but that's just not how it works.
So what happens if you just try to get 1% better at something every single day for a year? The math is just staggering. You don't end up 365% better. Thanks to the magic of compounding, you end up almost 38 times better. It's wild. But the flip side is true too. Get 1% worse each day, and you're basically at zero. Success isn't about these giant leaps. It's the sum of your daily habits.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. We expect progress to look like a straight line going up. In reality, the results of our efforts are delayed. For a while, it feels like nothing is happening. James Clear calls this the valley of disappointment. This is the danger zone. It's the place where most people quit because they don't see immediate results. But if you can push through this, that's where the real magic happens.
Okay, so this leads us to a really important shift in how we think about change. If compounding tells us what happens, this next part tells us how to make it happen. It's all about forgetting the finish line and just falling in love with the daily process.
Look, we're all obsessed with setting goals, but goals have some serious problems. For one, winners and losers in any competition usually have the exact same goal, so the goal itself can't be what separates them. Plus, achieving a goal only changes your life for a moment. You cross the finish line, and then what? The motivation just evaporates. A system, on the other hand, is the process you follow. That's what really matters for making progress.
This quote from the book just nails it. Goals are great for pointing you in the right direction. They're the rudder of the ship. But it's your systems, your daily habits, that are the engine actually pushing you forward. Now, this might be the most powerful idea in the whole book. True, lasting change happens from the inside out. See, most of us try to change from the outside in. We focus on the outcome, what we want to get. But the real secret is to start with your identity, who you want to become. The goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't just to run a 5K, it's to become a runner. Once you start believing you're that person, your actions just naturally fall into place.
So how do we actually build these habits? Well, first we have to understand how they work. Every single habit you have, good or bad, runs on a simple 4-step loop in your brain. There's a cue, which triggers a craving, which motivates a response, which leads to a reward. Your phone buzzes, that's the cue. You feel a craving to see the message. You pick up the phone, that's the response, and you satisfy your curiosity, that's the reward. The whole trick is to learn how to engineer this loop to work for you, not against you. And that brings us to the practical toolkit, the 4 laws of behavior change. Let's dig into the first 2, which are all about just getting a new habit off the ground. The first law is to make it obvious. You can't fix a habit you don't realize you have. So a great first step is to just write down your daily habits to see what's actually going on. Then you need to be crystal clear. Don't just say, I want to meditate. Say, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. That's called an implementation intention. And the best trick of all is habit stacking. You just link your new habit to one you already do. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Easy.
Next up, Law 2, make it attractive. Our brains are wired to want things that feel good. So you can use something called temptation bundling. You pair something you need to do with something you want to do. For example, you're only allowed to listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising.
Another huge one is to join a group where your desired habit is the normal behavior. And finally, just reframe how you talk about it. You don't have to go for a run, you get to build endurance. Okay, so you've gotten the habit started. That's awesome. But the real challenge is making it stick for good, right? That's where the last two laws come into play.
Law 3 is a big one. Make it easy. Let's face it, we are all programmed to take the path of least resistance. So use that. Reduce the friction. If you want to go to the gym in the morning, lay out your workout clothes the night before. And my favorite is the 2-minute rule. Whatever new habit you're starting, scale it down so it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Read 30 minutes a day becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. You master the art of showing up first, then you can improve it later.
And the final crucial law is to make it satisfying. Here's a fundamental truth about our brains. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. The problem is, the reward for good habits is often way off in the future. So you have to create a little immediate reward. A great way to do this is with a habit tracker. There is something deeply satisfying about putting a big X on a calendar. It makes your progress visible, and that little hit of satisfaction makes you want to do it again tomorrow. So this is a great little cheat sheet for the whole system. To build a good habit, you make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And what if you want to break a bad habit? You just flip it. You make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. It's that simple. Now, let's get real. Life gets in the way. You're going to have an off day. You're going to miss a habit. Perfection is not the goal. The real question is, what do you do next?
This quote really hits home. The problem isn't missing once. The real danger is letting one slip up turn into a slide. One missed workout is an accident. 2 missed workouts is the start of a new bad habit.
And that brings us to the golden rule of getting back on track. It is so simple but so powerful. Never miss twice. That's it. You ate junk food today? Fine. Just make sure your next meal is a healthy one. You skip the gym? It happens. Just get back there tomorrow, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Don't let one mistake break the chain.
So let's wrap it all up. Aim for that tiny 1% improvement every day. Focus on building good systems, not just chasing goals. Start from the inside out, build the identity you want. Use the 4 laws as your toolkit. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And when you stumble, just remember the golden rule. Never, ever miss twice. And that leaves us with one final question. This isn't about some massive life overhaul tomorrow or next month. It's about right now. So what is one tiny, atomic, 1% change that you can make today?